Okay, so it is Tuesday, October the 11th. I had a little gap there where I couldn't do any filming due to this problem with the production facilities in Japan. As you see the little sign here at Walmart talking about it. But now they've got everything fixed and they are making my digital high 8mm tapes again, so it's back to business as usual. The first thing that I want to show you is a little photo montage of me changing out some of the details on my old Kenner ghost trap so that my son could wear it for Halloween this year. This was the Kenner Real Ghostbusters ghost trap. That's what it originally was, with the glow-in-the-dark doors and the blue details like from the cartoon. I spray painted it black, and then I used a rub-on silver paint and didn't like that, and then resprayed it black after that. This is electrical tape wrapped around the original yellow hose, and apparently the handle broke. My dad actually did this, I think, with broom handle. He cut it off and he kind of shaped it down to fit in there, and it's screwed in from the inside, and then the labels were put back on it after it was painted, and the yellow stripes were done with yellow electrical tape. As you can see, it has not survived the weather too well. And again, Velcro on the bottom so it could fit on the side of the proton pack. And then you can see where black paint is rubbed off of certain details. So what I want to do is disassemble it, see if I can snake some split loom tubing over this, if I can find the right kind. Take the yellow electrical tape off and do that with yellow spray paint and black spray paint. Now that I know how to mask and do two different colors of spray paint on one thing, which apparently had not occurred to me at this age, and then mask off this and do silver spray paint where I wanted it silver originally. So first thing I did was to add some split wire loom tubing. This actually was a 10-foot section that I bought at Peck Ace Hardware. I later found it in 6-foot at Walmart, but the 10-foot proved useful. This is what the interior looked like, and this is what the original pneumatic tube looks like on the inside. This is what the wooden handle that my dad made looks like once it's unscrewed. And these are all the parts that I removed. I took the yellow electrical tape off the doors, revealing the glow-in-the-dark plastic beneath. I also needed to take this Velcro off the bottom. And this is what it looks like with everything disassembled. I managed to take all of the paint off of the clip and the wheels. I was going to do an attempt to dye them, but it just didn't work. I also sanded a lot of the original paint off of the ghost trap doors, and used a solvent to take the paint off of the red parts. Also had to sand down the sides a little bit. The decades-old paint just proved too difficult to solvent away, so I had to sand. The solvent did work on the pump for the stomp pedal. These were the red buttons, primed gray. Painted the buttons red. And here I painted the interior of the trap in a satin black. I painted the trap doors satin black as well. I then used a cardboard baffle to block the interior, and painted the entire trap in a flat black. Geez, I could go for some flat black right about now, eh? Then I masked off everything except the areas that I wanted to paint silver. This is blue painter's tape. And then I gave it a good coat of aluminum. This is what the trap looked like after the blue tape came off. As you can see, the silver paint had sort of wicked up under the tape in a couple of places. The other side looked pretty good. I then created a cardboard baffle to block the body of the trap from getting any silver paint when I painted just the knob on the end. As you can see, I masked off around the shape of the plug, and then hit it with a coat of silver, but the baffle protected any of the rest of the trap from getting silver. This is what the plug looked like after all the tape and the baffle was taken off. I also had to retape the sides of the trap so that I could paint black over the silver. I put some blue painter's tape on the doors. Now the doors are getting a coat of yellow. Here's a comparison shot. One with a coat of yellow paint and one without. Before the yellow, I would actually do a coat of primer in between, after the new coat of black was put down. I also wrapped the trap in plastic baggies and masked off everything except this one knob. I put a piece of tape over the top of the knob and then spray painted just the sides of it black. Painted the wheels and the clip black. Here's both doors yellow. And when you peel off the blue tape, you've got black and yellow stripes. Voila! Starting to look pretty good. Great, kid, don't get cocky. Unfortunately, when I first tried to reassemble it, the post broke off of this hydraulic piston. The very reason that I had chosen split loom tubing so that I would not have to disassemble this part right here blew up in my face. Now fortunately, I was able to drill a hole in the side of it, insert the yellow tube straight into the cavity, and then goop around it to make it airtight again. So it still functions. I chose some graphics from gbfans.com and printed them at a size that would fit into the existing openings on the Kenner toy. Now there's some artistic license here in placing them, but unfortunately after I chose where I wanted the labels to go, I really didn't like that red button being next to a red label. So I painted it gold. I also decided at this stage to enlarge the holes for the wheels because the tight fit was scrubbing the paint right back off of them. And as you can see, the wheels will now roll a little more freely without scrubbing off any of the paint. So very happy about that. Here's what she looks like fully reassembled. Gold button next to a red label, see? And then I did the white label over on this side. So I had to change a few things just for placement of where they had sculpted the knobs and what have you. But like I said, it's artistic license. And still perfectly functional, but don't look directly at the trap. So I had to repaint this, though, after I spray painted it black. It had enough paint left on it from back in the day that I thought it would take spray paint without staying tacky, but I was wrong. So I had to paint over it with black acrylic paint. So it's nice and doesn't leave fingerprints on you and all that stuff. Plus, using that 10-foot piece of split loom tubing meant that I had just enough left over to add to this old Kenner Proton pack. Remember, it's got the yellow cord there? So that'll be what my son wears. Unfortunately, I don't have a spare one of these to paint for him to wear, paint black for him to wear. But who knows, if he wants to go as a Ghostbuster again next Halloween, maybe I can find a cheap one between now and then. Okay, so the last time that I had done one of these videos for you, I mentioned a couple pieces that I still was unable to find. Guess what? Found them. So this was the Atari paddle controller that I turned into a PKE meter many years ago. As you can see, I had to paint the orange button on the side black. And yeah, I mean, like at the time that I was doing this, here was my skill level. Here was my tool level. I gouged a hole in that button with a screwdriver to be able to put the push-up shaft there, and then wrapped it with yellow electrical tape for the details. And that's a hairbrush handle, and I probably used a hand saw, to cut this notch in there to take the handle of the hairbrush. And the handle wasn't even black. I had to paint that with a magic marker. So, but that's my old PKE meter. So let's do a comparison really quick. The old and the new. So yeah, size-wise, I just didn't get it right. But I mean, you can kind of see the shape and the look I was going for, and they both feel like plastic. And some of the other pieces that I've found include my original old patches, name patch and logo patch, seen here with my new patches that I paid good money for, and my old Ecto goggles. Now, I know what you're saying, there's no tubes on them. Here they are. They have apparently fallen off over the years, and as you can see, the electrical tape has shrunk at different rates than the plastic below it. But once upon a time, these looked sort of like that right there. Ta-da! And a couple of features I wanted to show you on this. For instance, on the inside of them, there's actually another piece of Transformers Tech Specs decoder in there, so at least one eye gave you a red lens to look through. And that's a little picture of Slimer. I made that Velcro so I could take it back out. It's a little sticker of Slimer that came in a booklet. Matter of fact, I found the booklet the other day. The official Ghostbusters training manual, a guide to catching ghosts. And see, it came with this book of 12 collector stickers, but really it was only 6 different stickers, and they had 2 of each in there. Now, I didn't know back in the day that in the future there would be this device in my house called a scanner where I could make copies of things. So it just is a fluke that I felt, you know, a hesitation to use each of these stickers. I just used one of each, and I kept the spares there. And you may ask, well, hey, what'd you do with that Ghostbusters sticker up there in the corner? Well, I'll tell you what I did with it. It went on this VHS when I recorded Ghostbusters off of HBO back in the 80s. I think this was the very first video cassette that I ever recorded with my brand new VCR that I got for Christmas that year. Also found in that box in my parents' attic the earmuffs that I wore whenever I would do photos and things of me in my gear as Louis Tully. And I had some big, funky nerd glasses. No, not those. No, not those. They look more like this. Oh, Dana, it's you. Okay, so I was born to wear this stuff. Okay, so these were just safety goggles that my dad had, and I ripped the plastic shields off the side, and I've used them as my nerdy glasses in lots and lots of productions, including the Reverend I.P. Knightley.
Brethren and sistren, I'm so glad to see you all here with us today in the eyes of the Lord.
But you guys have no idea who that character is. And then here's my gold etc. sign, like you see on the wall of Lewis's apartment when the terror dog crashes onto the table. And that was just something that I had hanging on my bedroom in the 70s. My parents bought that and put it up as a piece of decor, and it was originally black, and after I spotted it in Ghostbusters, I spray painted this one gold. So after this most recent foray into my parents' attic, I think I've accounted for all the Ghostbusters stuff that I was thinking was up there, and I found a few surprises too. I found a lunchbox that had a Nestle Crunch in it that had deteriorated over the years and completely messed up the certificate of ownership to this ghost in a can that I got in Piccadilly Circus in London when I was, I think 18. So I also found, along with the foodstuffs, this container, and the container had spilled open. But, yeah, that's Ghostbusters cereal. You want to try some? There's a little handwritten label here that I put that says Ghostbusters the Ethereal Cereal. And that had spilled out in a large cardboard box, and it was all over everything. It was the box that the PK meter and the goggles were in. And one piece of cereal was stuck right here on the tongue of a dancing Slimer radio clock thing. So anyway, those are just a few of the things that I found.